It all started with a question from my wife. What do you want to be doing for work in 30 years? I paused, but deep down, I already knew what the answer was. When I was 7 years old, I was terrified of this film. I know, this film is made for like 3-year-olds, but the jerky movements, the uncanny stares, it's horrifying. I went crying to my dad about it, and he pulled out some of my toys and said, there's nothing to be afraid of. They make the movie just like this. And we made my first ever stop motion video. And I loved it, but I'm still scared of this. My dad and his brother D loved making films, and I grew up watching some of their legendary films, like Who's Who. They only had like 3 actors, but there's all these different characters, and you're not sure which one's who, and they switch roles all the time. It's hilarious. Sadly, my Uncle D passed away when I was young, but his love for filmmaking had really influenced my dad, and definitely left an impact on me. He changed my life more than he'll ever know. My dad got me this old computer program called Microsoft 3D Movie Maker. And I loved that thing so much, I'd spend almost every day, all day, making movies. From Bongo, the homeless man who lived in a trash can that wanted to become an NBA player, or Bo, the boxing detective. And I made dozens upon dozens of superhero films.
Don't you recognize Super Z?
And I would charge my sisters and my friends to come over and pay a penny per ticket to watch the films. It seems so obvious now, but what I loved doing more than anything else was making these movies. I continued making movies on that all through high school. I also started a YouTube channel with my friends where I made the most ridiculous videos. My most popular video was me begging my 34 subscribers to buy me an ice cream cone.
By Dylan, ice cream cone. Where's my phone? I got a call for an ice cream cone. I think it was stolen by a gnome. It ain't in my bones. I'm not in the zone. Why are you laughing? This is serious. Time for the chorus.
I even got a t-shirt once. I had the opportunity to take a high school film animation class, and I remember having a project where the teacher told us you have to animate a circle going from one side of the screen to the other. And we had the whole class to get it done, and by the end of the class, I turned in these dancing, singing snowmen. I told him it should count because I utilized the principles of moving circles. He was so impressed that he asked me to teach the class with him. And we went on to make commercials for local businesses that still use our videos to this day. I tried out for the high school basketball team and was cut 3 times. But I got to film the games, but I don't really like to talk about it because it's still kind of a sore subject for me. After high school and a little bit of college, I went on a mission. And as a missionary, you don't have a lot of time to make videos. But on a rare occasion, like when these elders were about to try a jackfruit for the very first time, I popped on some music and then this happened.
Oh, Jaka. Oh,
Cuidado, fica mais um deles. Não vou comer isso não.
After my mission, I thought about going to film school. If there's anything I wanted more than to make films, it would be to have the freedom and independence that can come from owning your own business. I remember making the decision that I would rather own a company than be making videos as an employee. So I decided not to study film, and instead, I studied entrepreneurship. There was a student advisor, and she laughed in my face and told me it was a horrible idea to get a degree in entrepreneurship. She said I should be getting a degree in something that would make me more employable, like in marketing or finance. Because if you're gonna work for yourself, what do you need a degree for? She might have laughed then, but who's laughing now? And over the years, I've tried several entrepreneurial ventures. And something I've learned is there always comes a turning point where they get really difficult, where you have to start sacrificing and being willing to risk everything in order to keep going. And you get at these crossroads that you can choose to go get a job or continue going after what you're doing. And with every single business I started, I wasn't passionate about it enough to make it through those difficult times. I'd always end up just going to get another job. And one of the coolest jobs I had was at For Life Research. And while I was like over like the operations and everything that happened in the market, I found myself gravitated towards using videos to help us grow sales. I was sticking my head in fountains, getting slapped in the face, and making tons and tons of videos about our products and programs. But there came a point that I knew I needed to up my game. I had to go beyond just editing these videos on my phone in iMovie. So with some encouragement from my wife, I decided to learn Adobe Premiere Pro. But it was horrible, an absolute train wreck. It was so difficult to use, I said I was quitting multiple times. It was in this moment that my wife told me, your videos have done so much good that if you learned this, think of how much more of an impact you could have. And I'm so grateful that I listened to her. I left For Life to make gospel-related video courses, and then I ended up at Lendio, where I made training videos. Probably the most interesting corporate training videos ever made. I punched these computers at work. Why? You see, I got out of this meeting where leaders complained that employees were missing clock punches, forgetting to punch in and out. And I thought I could solve that problem with an unforgettable training video. I told no one what I was doing. And I only intended to break 2 monitors, but I actually broke the guy's next to me too because my computer fell over and hit his. I think the training was a success. But how did the company reward me for it? They loved it. I was pretty happy with what I was doing, and I almost felt content with what I was doing with my career. But it was this question that changed everything. What do you want to be doing for work in 30 years? An answer that had been instilled with me since I was a little kid by my father, my Uncle D. I wanted to make movies. And I told her, I want to make some of the best movies on the planet. I want a huge company, 1,000 employees, that we make movies that are clean, creative, and that show good character, that they can bring people more joy. So many movies out there today show the world as a harsher and crueler world than it really is. They generally have lower standards than what we have. And they generally depict people as worse than they really are. A lot of them aren't aspiring us to be better. Generally, they show characters that are worse. And I think the movies should do the opposite. They should show us a better world, a better way of living, with characters that inspire us to want to be more than we are today. So I want to own that company. Not a company that degrades us or that lower our standards, but ones that have a better way, ones that are inspiring. That's the company I want to own. And she said, what does that look like in 20 years? About 10? How about 5? What about 1? I realized if I continued doing what I was doing, I wouldn't ever get there. That I had to change what my day-to-day looked like in order to get there. And it seemed like the best way to start was to start and to make a film. And thus the idea of Day Hero was born.